Welcome to another episode of Whaat on Straight Conversation Network. You got Dre and Jesse coming at you again, entertaining you on what's today? Wednesday? On Wednesday again.
It's Wednesday, baby.
Entertaining you. We gonna go out on a limb and say we keep you entertained. But anyway, man. So I switched. I switched my cup because last time I noticed I had like a kitty cup. It wasn't really a
Right,
kitty cup, but it was like one of those big cups because you can put a lot of like juice and stuff like that in it. But now I
right.
went to a glass because like I want to seem like sophisticated when I
When you
drink
drink.
drink when I drink my juice. So when I drink my juice, I want to seem sophisticated. Uh, but hey, how's your week been going?
My week's been good actually. Not a huge news week, but it's been a
It's been
pretty
pretty
good week
slow,
nonetheless. Yeah.
man. So one thing that changed with me, talking about man. So I had so I'm diabetic, right? And it's hard for me to
Okay.
keep up with my blood sugar because I don't want to stick myself. Just being straightforward, I don't want to really be poking myself all day. So about 4 months ago, I went into the doctor's office and I was like, man, how do you get one of those those auto readers, the monitors, that I would always
Right.
monitor your blood sugar? And she was like, so do you stick yourself? Do you poke yourself and check your blood
Mm-hmm.
sugar? I'm like, if I did that, I wouldn't need
The auto
uh,
monitor.
automatic automatic read. She's like, do you check it often? I'm like, I don't really check it. Only when I come in like every 3 months. I check it because I gotta go get my blood drawn every 3 months and get it checked
Right.
out. She's like trying to figure out ways to ask me different questions. I'm like, dude, that's why I want it. I don't check it. Come to you in order to get the monitor, you have to stick yourself all the time. So I literally talk myself out of like getting the monitor because I'm like, dude, but that's kind of oxymoron. Like if I stuck myself, why would I need a consistent monitor? So I went in. I went in the other day, and well, about 10 days ago, and they was giving me a different type of insulin. So now I do a fast and slow acting insulin. With that,
Okay.
you automatically qualify for the glucose reader. So now
Oh,
I
there
got
you
my
go.
glucose reader, and my blood sugar was always high. So the last 10 days, my blood sugar was like great, and I'm like, why don't they give everybody one of these that got diabetes? Like the fact that you constantly watching your blood sugar spike and go like literally, I went in and it was like so she read my charts and she's like, wow, like 81% of the time you were within the target range. And I'm like, well, it's easy when you're looking at the glucose reader all day because I like 15
Right.
times a day I'm like scanning myself and I'm like, oh man, I got too much sugar. Oh, I gotta eat a cookie or something. And I'm like, common sense, like why won't they just give people with diabetes a glucose monitor and allow them to monitor their sugar? You know, I just don't understand it because like in 1 week my blood sugar was 80% correct, which was I'm assuming before that it was probably like
Yeah,
it
no.
wasn't 80%. It was probably, it was probably 8%. You know, and I'm laughing at it, but diabetes is don't laugh about it. But the fact that they gave me this thing 10 days ago, and now all of a sudden my blood sugar. So if they would have pushed it out over a 3 month period, it would have been 5 points less than what it was when the last time I took my A1C1, which is great. Like, and if they'd have gave it to me when I asked 4 months ago and told them I didn't check my blood sugar, I'd have been good by now. But it's a little. But hey, if you diabetic or you think you're diabetic, I mean, you really should go get checked. I mean, it's a serious issue, especially in our community, or just overall health is a big deal in our community. And if you could go get
This
checked,
is
you can go
facts.
get, go get,
Big facts.
make sure you're on top of things and stuff like that. Because I know, for one, it's hard. It's hard to, if you're diabetic, it's hard to maintain your blood sugar because part of the reason we diabetic is because we eat the foods that we like to eat that we
Right.
probably should be eating or eating a lot of. And like I told my like, dude, it's gonna be hard. Like once you figure out something where I can eat the foods that I want, because I'm not gonna stop eating things that I probably shouldn't be eating, especially like cornbread and like a lot of things we culturally been eating since we were born, and we still eat today. So it's uh it's very important that, especially like I say, in our community, if you get an opportunity to check up on your health, whatever that may be, take the time out. Whether it's cancer screening, whether it's checking for diabetes, any of those things, we really should get on it. Uh, my guy said,
That's
my guy
very fair
said
enough.
his AC1 went from 13 to 6.9. Mine did the exact same number. Mine went from 13 to 6.9. I didn't get the exact number because I was like, it's super high. But mine went to 6.9, like immediately using the glucose reader. It's crazy. And like I say, I don't know if he used the glucose meter, but I didn't feel like I was stressing. I didn't feel like I was trying so hard, you know, like I didn't feel like I was trying so hard that it was like hard for me to maintain. It was easy. I was looking directly at my blood sugar,
Right.
and I was like, okay, those cookies I was about to eat, I can't eat. Or and he does have the glucose reader also, and that it makes all the difference in the world. And like it makes all the difference in the world. And people would say you get the same results if you stick yourself. I mean, I'm just not trying to stick myself like that much for one, and I don't like sticking myself like because you stick yourself with a finger and it don't hurt. It don't hurt. If you hit a nerve, it hurts. It hurts, and constantly
Well,
I was hitting nerves.
well, that's because
Huh?
you were doing it wrong. You do it
Probably
wrong.
that's but I shouldn't be having a stigma. I shouldn't have diabetes either. But
Well, there
like
you
I
goes. Wow.
have diabetes, but they got a way that we can get around it. Give us a glucose reader and we can maintain it. Hey, shout out to Carlos. But yeah, so I mean, we really, really in our community need to get on our
Right.
physical health, and our mental health is really, really important. And it's good to see.
Exactamundo.
I was watching a comedian, and he said he was. I mean, he was making a joke, but he was saying he was happy that somebody in his community got autism, and the reason why it shows that people start testing our community for
Right.
mental, for different things. And like before, we never
They
tested
didn't.
things like that in our community. We never thought about mental illness,
But
and
we've always known about diabetes. It's actually called
I
diabetes.
did, I did, I
We've
didn't.
always known about diabetes. Every one of us has an aunt or uncle that's got diabetes.
I had no
Right?
clue what that meant, dude. Like
You
literally,
knew you had an auntie that had diabetes, and she's like, I can't do that. It messes my diabetes.
dude,
You
we
know
was
you had one.
young and we was growing up around in our community. I assure you, a lot of us growing up did not know what diabetes was until we had it. Like literally, that's like we just didn't
Oh, I've
have.
always
And
know what
we didn't have.
diabetes was.
We didn't have like I didn't have a consistent doctor that I went to. I have a doc, like we went for like school immunizations. We went
Right.
if you got extremely sick, but we didn't have like now me my kid. We have like a primary health person, and we go to checkups
Wait,
every
when you were a kid,
you
you
know
didn't have like a because I had a Dr. Crutchfield, but you didn't have like a kid doctor. Like you didn't have a
no
doctor that you went to like all the time as a kid.
no. That's what I'm telling you.
Holy crap,
Like,
dude! Where the hell did you grow up? Wait, what third world country were you born in?
dude, we might as well been growing up Inglewood, Woodlawn area, Chicago. Like
But there was hospitals and there was clinics. So why would you not have had a doctor? Like seriously, and
again,
I
dude,
understand. I get it.
we
I was born and raised in the
when
ghetto.
you
I was
when you
born and
in a
raised in the hood.
community like that that's uneducated about healthcare and
So
stuff like
so your
that,
parents just didn't take you.
yeah, and we didn't have health insurance. Like I say, generally we went to the doctor if we got sick or if we needed shots for school. Other than that, we may have had a checkup. I don't even
You got a
remember.
physical. Oh, you played football though,
We
so you got your
Yeah,
physical,
we had a physical.
right?
That's once a year, dude.
Right.
Once
Yeah.
a
Once a
year
year
you
you
get
do
a
your
physical.
physical, and then what? And then once a year, and then you go to the doctor for like
Yeah,
whatever
but
they're
when you
supposed
go
to
to
go
a
through.
physical, they just making sure that you're healthy enough to do like go to school, play football, whatever. Like they're not talking to you about diabetes or they're not talking to you about high blood pressure. They're not talking to you about those things. I don't even know if they check those. I don't even remember. But like what
Oh
I'm
my God.
saying,
Okay, you know what? So maybe that's the difference because that where I was in my school, they absolutely stress high blood pressure and diabetes. But then again,
never have I
I went to an all
ever
black
remember
public.
talking about it in my
I
community.
went to an all black public grade school. In the most
Where did you grow up at?
St. Paul, Minnesota.
So you grew up in Minnesota.
Yeah, but we had a my
Yeah, but
school.
Minnesota's back. So that was probably what in the 80s. Same time I
70.
grew up. You grew up in the 70s.
Yeah, I was born in
Okay,
'72, so I literally grew up in the '70s.
okay. I was born in '77, so the '80s is about the time.
Right.
Um, 80s about the time we, we started doing it. But I assure you, uh, the communities in Chicago is probably not as educated on health and things like that as the communities in
No,
Madison
that's fair. Because like
or
my
St.
church,
Paul.
yeah. Because
Like
like my church
literally,
started my school. Yeah,
you say your church what?
my church started their school. The schools in St. Paul were not good schools for kids of color
Hmm.
in the '70s, and instead of like I don't know pitching a fit about it or protesting and raising the fist, my church literally got somebody on the city council, and they got it put a bug in the ear about quality of education for African American students,
Hmm.
and when I went to kindergarten, I was the very first class of Benjamin E. Mays High School in St. Paul, Minnesota. Benjamin E. Mays School. It was a K through 3. Um, and then when I got to third grade, they moved it to K through 6. And when I got to sixth grade, they moved it to K through 8.
So you went to the same school?
From kindergarten to eighth grade. Yep.
Yeah, I
And
did
get
too.
this. And we get this. We never switched classes, right? Now our education, I'm not gonna lie. I think the difference is when I got to high school, I was far more prepared than the kids who actually went to like Ramsey or Murray or things like that. And those were schools where they got to switch classes. It was like the prep for high school.
Hmm.
Um, but along with that comes a lot of other outside stuff, whatever. But education wise, because we had one teacher, we had one class. Like we were levels ahead of everybody else in math. We were levels ahead in English. You know what I mean? We were way ahead in social studies. So when I got to high school, granted, it was very weird to have to like go from my English class to my oh my god. I was like, why I gotta leave? What's this homeroom? What?
It's funny. We started doing that, I believe, in sixth grade. But I went to the same school, like in Chicago. Like I didn't really know about middle school until I got up to Madison. I never heard of middle. Like we went most of the schools, or all the schools that I'm familiar with, went K through eighth grade. Like all the schools went K through
Right.
eighth grade. When we get to sixth grade, we started like they was like, "Hey, we're gonna start switching classes." We're like, "Really?" So we started switching classes in sixth grade. Uh, and by the time I got to high school, I started this program called Upward Bound. So they did a lot of
I knew Outward Bound.
training.
Yep.
Yeah. So I was prepared for high school because I took I went to school on Saturdays and I went to
Uh-huh.
school during the summers. So I went, so they prepare you for like college and like they got like a
Yep.
90+% college rate and stuff like that. So really, that's how I got prepared. But I'm thinking all the way up to high school, we never had those classes where or the teachers or anybody talked about like, hey, you shouldn't be eating all that candy. You're gonna become diabetic. We didn't have people around
Yeah.
like we had. There's a lot of diabetes that run through my family. I didn't know how people got diabetes. I didn't know that like you're eating a lot of like it's just we didn't have the education. It was there. Of course, we talked about that before, but we didn't have that information. And a
We
lot
had
of
the Black Health Talk. we had the Black Health Talk.
yeah, and we never
we had the Black Health Talk as kids. So they came in, they talked about diabetes and the blood sugar. And because and it wasn't even like they didn't say, do you guys eat salty foods or do you guys have this? It was, we know this is what you eat. We know this is what's in your kitchen. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't even a question. Like, if you see this, don't. It was this is what you're eating. We are because they knew we weren't all wealthy people, and they knew that most of us were on food stamps, whatever. So you eat the garbage that you have, or whatever it is. But no, they told us about
What?
diabetes. They told us about heart disease. They told us about um, high blood pressure, or high blood pressure and making sure your blood sugars was right. They told us about stress. They told us a lot of it was about
And actually,
our
those should be mandatory classes that
heart. You would
you
think
take in grade school. Just like like credit counseling should be
it
classes that
should
you
be
take going all the way from grade school to high school. I'll be interested to see who else out there, like, because it's such a different experience between like our health experience that I wonder what other people's health experiences was like. Like, did they learn about diabetes and high blood pressure?
right,
Like not that they heard about it, but like did they actually learn the things that that like talks like you learn, like, hey, this will cause
right.
diabetes.
Hey,
This will
call
cause
in.
high blood pressure. Yeah, if you want to call in or just comment, you know how to comment. But if you want to call in, 608-957-8724. 608-957-8724. But you know what? I'm guessing we'll probably get a 50-50, like people who have been taught about it, people who won't. It
Right.
probably depends on where you're living and
Yep.
where because so like our community, our teachers were so busy. Like, hey, our job is to keep you from going to jail or getting killed.
Right.
Like literally.
Their job was
So
not to teach you.
a lot of things we didn't have the experience, like, and like people may think that's an exaggeration, but literally teachers would tell you that, like, because so many people were dying and going to jail, either going to jail or getting killed in our community. Because remember when we grew up, you grew up, we grew up during the pandemic of the crack era, and that hit our communities, and people were dying, people were going to jail, like like every day, all day. It was
I
just
think.
something.
Yep. We were just
It was
talking. If
just
you
like,
survived the '80s, if you survived the '80s
yeah,
and
I
'90s,
mean,
you did some shit. You
the crack,
accomplished something.
the crack epidemic in our community was so bad. Unless you lived there, like, I mean, it was really bad because you go outside, you see like friends, parents out there, like big, like still. I
Bad.
mean, it was
Bad.
we didn't really know what was going on. We didn't really know, uh, like any of that. We just went with we just went with it. You
Right.
know, we were kids. We didn't know any better. But so it'll be interesting to see how people think about, or how they was exposed to like health, or if they're exposed to health, things like that. Talking about health, uh,
Here we
pe-
go.
people like, so we hear this from people who are anti-vaccination or don't want to get
Yes.
vaccinated, that they're tired of hearing about COVID because now we have the Omicron, and what is
Oh my
more.
God! It sounds like it's a
Maybe it
transformer,
mutate
don't
more,
it?
maybe it don't.
It
Maybe
sounds
it's
like
more
a video
dangerous.
game.
Yeah, maybe it's more dangerous than Delta. Maybe it's not. Who
Ah,
knows? But the people who are not getting vaccinated are tired of hearing about it. They're not going to get vaccinated. They're not going to even get a
yeah.
booster.
I think they're
They're
over it.
tired of hearing about it. You know who else is tired of hearing about it? The
Me.
people who are vaccinated. So, like, at this point, it's been 2 years, man. I am so fed up. Like, every day, people coming on, begging people to get vaccinated, begging people to get boosted. If people don't want to get boosted and vaccinated by now,
Let it go.
uh, let just let
Let's
it
go
go.
back
It
to what we
sucks
used to do. If
because,
they're gonna
of
die, they're gonna
course,
die.
yeah. Of course, you want to protect people who can't get vaccinated, the immunocompromised, and like kids, certain young kids. But we can't do anything about these people. Like, they don't want to
No.
get vaccinated. They're not going to get vaccinated. Only time they do get vaccinated is if somebody close to them get COVID and die, or get COVID and get really really sick. Then they're like, oh,
Yes.
I should
Well,
have
you
got
know what?
vaccinated.
Less stress
I'm
on the
also
system and
tired of
more
people,
jobs open.
huh?
I said less stress on the system and more jobs open.
Well, I'm also tired because I'm also tired of like hearing people come on now and being like, "Oh, I should have got vaccinated. Now I'm sick. Now I'm on a respirator." Like, literally, at this point, the empathy and the like, dude, if there's a new variant, if there's something you want people to do, come out and be like, "Hey, there's a new variant, Omicron. The boosters help you. You should get boosted," and just leave it at that. And
That's it.
like, the people that's gonna get vaccinated is gonna get vaccinated. The people that's gonna get boosted is gonna get boosted, and the people that
Right.
don't want to get vaccinated, they won't. Like, like it's time. And I know it's a public health issue. I know it, but talking about COVID, and I hate to
Right?
say it, I hate to say it, but Trump just refused to talk about it. He was like, "Dude, I'm done talking about it. It's over." And I'm not. I don't know if that's the right, and maybe that's what I'm saying, and just don't
You
want to
know what?
say it.
I think he was
But
right. I think
but
he
he's
was
like,
right when he
"Dude,
said
I'm
he didn't
done
want to
talking
cause a
about it."
panic. When he said he didn't want
And
to have a big panic and all this stuff, I think he was right because look at what they're doing. He was like,
well,
this is what
before the vaccine,
what the media is doing is exactly he wanted to avoid. Like, to be honest, this
well,
is
he didn't want to deal with
crazy.
it at all. But so I hate to take I hate to be repeating the same thing he said. But at this point, we have a vaccine. The vaccine, over 5 billion people have been vaccinated. If people are still worried about it, like okay, let people do them now. I hate when the government try to protect people against themselves, and also some people are gonna say like, well, we gotta protect other people too, vulnerable. Yeah, but
Exactly.
we're not forcing these people to get vaccinated. We're
Right?
just not. And just talking about it, all it does is weaken the Democratic Party. And most of the people in the country are vaccinated, and most of the people believe in vaccines and boosters. But we're not gonna force that 30%. I'm
Right?
looking around the world, and now in Europe they have anti-vaccine marches, and the people are like, "It's my body. I don't believe in forced mandates." Although we have so many forced mandates already,
Right?
they just forget about those. But it's like at this point, if you're done with the vaccine and you don't want to get it, I don't care. You know, you
Fair.
know, we've been talking about it. We've been like all the information they need is out there. If they want it, get it. If they don't want it, don't get it. You know, it's like smallpox. Like the
Yes.
people that didn't want it, smallpox, they died. I mean, like smallpox is no joke, dude.
Exactly.
COVID killed what almost 800,000 people in two
Yes.
years. It's a lot of freaking people. People don't understand how many people that is because there's 300 million Americans, 350 million Americans, so it don't seem
Right.
like a lot. Anything that kills 800,000 Americans is no joke.
Almost a million
But
people died. People are like, that's no big deal. It's not even 1% of the country.
yeah, and that's how they looking at it. Like, dude, the flu killed like 50,000 people a year. This
Right?
thing killed 800,000 in 2 years. It's my body. You know what? They're right. It's their body. It's their kid's
Yes.
body. Whatever. Like at this point, it's time to change the subject. Like it's not. I mean, talking about it is not going to force people to get vaccinated. I mean, right now it's like white noise. So what's like the only thing that's gonna force people to get vaccinated, like I say, if somebody close to them die or get seriously ill, then people are running to get vaccinated. That's the only thing at this
Exactly.
point that's gonna change anybody's mind. Other
Yep.
than that, nobody's mind is gonna change.
Ah,
So, uh,
you
but
got that
yeah,
right.
that's where I'm at now with the mental health thing. Like, not the
It's
mental health,
over.
but like the vaccine thing. It's like, okay, man, dude, like you reach the people that you're gonna reach through telling people to get vaccinated. You're not gonna reach anybody else. Only experience is gonna reach them, and
Yep.
that's sad to say because who the hell is anti-vaccine? Like literally, you think of all the human diseases and viruses that we have that we're saved from. Dude, let people be people. Let them do them. Only thing we can do, somebody said, and that's exactly what I'm thinking. Like
Yep.
it's time for Darwinism, like Darwin to take over,
Exactly.
natural
See,
selection to take over, and then,
exactly. All the atheists should be very happy with this whole Darwinism and this whole whatever happens, happens. Like,
but it's, but
seriously,
it's,
the
but we
atheists should
watching
be
it.
celebrating it. Like, the
Hey, but we watching
survival
it
of the
unfold.
strongest.
We watching it unfold before our eyes, right? We
Yes.
literally watching this happen. Darwin is like people are dying, and most of the people dying is not vaccinated. Like, what more Darwinism? You know, I mean, natural selection can you get? But if at this point, it's time to just let it go. You're not convincing anybody new to get vaccinated by telling
No.
them you should get vaccinated. And like it's almost 2 years. Almost 2 years. The
Right.
vaccine been out for about 10 months. If people are still scared of it or worried about it or don't trust it, there's nothing anybody's going to say to convince them because by now, 95% of the people, doctors, have told them to get vaccinated. If they don't
Yep.
trust their doctors, and it was interesting. I was listening to this one doctor and he was just like, I'm just like flabbergasted that I delivered these people babies and sometimes I delivered the people. They've been seeing me for 30 years. Now I don't know what I'm talking about.
Right.
now they don't
Right.
now they don't trust me.
Now all of a
So
sudden.
yeah, all of a sudden now it's like, and shout out to Els for coming in. But yeah, like now all of a sudden you don't trust anything. Which is
Exactly.
dude, it's time to let go. And as Christians or religious people say, let go and let God.
Yep.
It's time. It's
Right?
time.
Let
It's
go and
time to
let
just
God.
let it happen. And the
But
funny thing
that's
about it is, the funny thing about it is, I think most people who don't believe in vaccines, uh, literally
are looking for religious exceptions.
don't, yeah, believe in God. Which is interesting because it reminded me of the guy who was on top of his house in the flood.
Right.
Uh, it's more of the parable, and a
Yep.
boat came by, and he's like, "No, no, no!
Nope.
I'm waiting
I
on
wait for
God to
God.
rescue me. Helicopter come by, I'm waiting
No,
on
I'm
God
waiting
to
on
rescue
God.
me. I'm waiting, yeah, float come by, I'm waiting on God to rescue me.
Yep.
Then all of a sudden, it goes to the next day, and he's like, God, why didn't you rescue me? I said, people. I said, the boat. I
Right.
said, the
What you want me to
helicopter.
do?
You still didn't take my help. And that's
Like,
what that's how it is about vaccines. It's like you are alive today probably because one of the vaccines that you were given when you were a kid.
exactly.
Now all of a sudden you think vaccines are bad, like you don't trust vaccines. It's easy to
Right.
say. It's easy to say when you have the option to have vaccines.
Yep.
And that's what screwed up because we have people in third world countries who literally need vaccines and want vaccines. And it's like like Americans, we have so much food. Like you ever see how much food like a school throw away a day from lunch? I mean, it's amazing. We have so much food that we have food to waste. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing in itself, but it's sort of like the vaccine. You have the option to do it, so it doesn't matter. Like I think things would be different if all of a sudden President Biden was like, "Hey, you know what I'm gonna do? We got enough vaccines in this country. All the rest of the nuts." People will
Ah,
flip out, but that's where we at. So that's my rant about the vaccine and mandates. But New York is making everybody getting vaccinated. In order to work in New York, you have to be
right.
vaccinated. And you know what? To be fair, okay, so a lot of Republicans are talking about that they believe that the federal government should mandate vaccinations,
Yeah,
and
they the
I'm
Senate
not
just
sure
told
that
him
they
no.
wrong.
Yeah, the
I'm not
Senate
sure
just
that
said
they
he
wrong.
couldn't do it. Yep.
But if the local, like if the state and the cities are doing it, I haven't seen too many courts object to that. So, like the people that vote, a certain way, city is probably safer than people who don't vote a certain way. And we see that when COVID spiked. But
Well, all I know is that the Senate just told Biden, hell no, you can't do what you just tried to do, and
yeah,
I agree with
but
him. He could tell the government, yeah, hey, look, y'all, you want to come work here in these buildings that the government runs, you gotta be vaccinated. But he can't be like, hey, if you want to work at Jesse's Five and Dime, you gotta be vaccinated. That's up to Jesse and the Five and Dime. He can't make that decision, and they just smacked him. I'm glad that because my fear is that and this is how come I don't want to lose the filibuster, is that unchecked, either party in full power will lose its freaking mind. Like Biden's basically at this point trying to be a dictator.
no, he's
It's
not.
crazy.
No,
It
he's
is
a
crazy.
dictator because he's trying to keep people safe. Yeah.
Here's the problem.
Hey,
But
that's
Jesse,
a horrible person.
Jesse, hold on. Here's the problem. The while I understand that he is trying to do the right thing, he is trying to do it against people's will, and you don't get to do that in the country where people have free will. You don't get to do that in the country that has freedom of choice. You don't get to actually do that. You don't get to do that in a country where you do have control of your body. My problem is
Who has control of their body?
we don't get to say that you
Who
have
has
full
control of
body.
their body?
Hold up, listen. You don't get to say that you have full body autonomy, but you have to get this shot. You don't get to have it both ways. And so the problem with we have in
We make
America
you get the measles shot.
no, we don't make you get anything. What happens
Yeah,
is
we do.
kids, babies are forced to get the measles shot against their will with no choice. And normally what happens is 9 times out of 10, nine times out of 10, neither parent is actually aware of what's being done. The baby's born.
Parents know that they can't
like
go
this.
to school.
Mom's like this. Because the baby just came out. The dad's like,
no, that's not how it goes.
Oh, baby.
Because you still have to bring
the doctor take the baby, and they do all that stuff, right?
Okay.
But then they say this:
honest,
if you want your kid to go to school, you have to get this shot. Your kid does not have to get vaccinated. Your kid just can't go to school if your kid does not get vaccinated. You see how that works, right? They're not forcing.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Okay, I'm gonna use my first jingle because I love this, and that's what it is.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
All right. So let's be real. The real thing is there's certain vaccinations that you have to get. You don't have a choice. So talking about this whole body autonomy thing is like really false equivalence, false narrative because you have to get the polio virus.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Now, when you're a kid, they force it upon you, but once you're a little older, you don't have to get anything.
Well, once you're an adult, you don't need it.
Yeah, but also, or the parent can say, no, I do not want my child to have this, and they cannot stick that in the child.
And the kid can't go to school.
Okay.
And the kid can't go to school or
of course, no, they homeschool. That's why homeschool started.
So there's no vaccine mandate that will force you. There's no COVID bill that will force you to get the vaccine. No. You can still say no, even if you make it a mandate, just like you can with polio or the measles. The problem is what they're trying to do is stop you from going into certain places.
They're trying to stop you from existing in public, which is fair. Biden's trying. All right, if you want to go to work, you have to get vaccinated. If you want to go to a football game, you have to get vaccinated. If you want to go shopping, you got to get vaccinated. Basically, if you want to do anything besides sit in your own home, in your own filth, you have to get vaccinated. That's what they're doing.
All right. Okay. Yeah, they do have. Okay. All right. I'll give you that one. Okay. You know what? I'll give you that one because they do have, like, they don't question you about the measles vaccine when you go to a restaurant. But we also don't have a measles pandemic right now. We did have some measles outbreaks. But
there was just a smallpox outbreak, like a couple right before COVID, there was a smallpox outbreak.
I'm not sure you get vaccinated right out the womb. Yes, I don't know where Dre got that from. That is nuts.
I will look it up. I will look it up.
He talking about the mom.
I will tell you how soon the first vaccine shot is.
They're vaccinating the kids. I don't know where he be exaggerating this stuff from. But the thing is, so
I'm looking it up.
You're free to make it. But what I'm saying is there's certain vaccinations that you have to get in order to be a part of society.
Holy crap.
Kid do not get, what?
Dude, there's a ton of shots. I have a daughter, and I did not realize how many freaking shots that she got.
Right, and that's my point. Is like now all of a sudden people.
Ton.
I know.
Yeah, and you know how fast it is? It is day of. It is day of.
Mississippi has 10 vaccine mandates that people must have.
Dude, this is day one.
Yes. Okay. But Mississippi has 10 vaccine mandates.
Right. All babies should get the first shot of hepatitis B vaccine from within the first 12 hours after birth. The first 12
You don't have
hours.
to get your kids vaccinated, right? You can tell the doc, like there's people who don't get their kids vaccinated.
I know, but those are women who have all their faculties and everything in order. You realize after you shit a bowling ball, the one thing you're not trying to do is try to figure out who's putting what needle in your child. You have to worry about what else is going to come out of there.
Beforehand, before you deliver, you can tell them that you don't want your kids vaccinated. You probably, some places you may
if you're a demon,
get arrested.
Yeah. You know, don't get me wrong. If you're a demon, you'll do something like that. But no, you have the choice. You have the choice to absolutely be a horrible human being. But yes, you have the right to do so.
You have the choice to not be vaccinated,
right?
With COVID, even with the mandates, right?
But once again, once I said, then that means you can no longer exist. Oh, they did. They just made it so. You can exist, you just can't do nothing. You can't go nowhere, you can't talk to nobody. The next thing they'll be like, well, if you don't get the COVID vaccine, we'll have to cancel your cable. Like,
Andre think women have faculties in order.
You got all your faculties in order. Ain't no one thinking about the damn shots right after they shit a bowling ball. I don't care who you are. Shit a bowling ball and be like, yes, now I'd like to have the steak and potatoes and be light there on the sauce.
So is he saying women never have women never had their faculties in order?
No, I was just kidding.
No, I'm saying is L said that women never have their faculties in order.
Thinks women have their faculties in order when when they're not all doped up for shitting a bowling ball. I can't. I'm sorry. I have a hard time thinking you can be really coherent when you're shitting a bowling ball.
Oh my God!
I'm sorry. I don't think you can do both at the same time. Be like, well, here's my shopping list.
That is mansplaining it,
right? No. Honest, my daughter's mom said, "Shit the bowling ball." I take her word for it because she shit the bowling ball. That's all I'm saying.
All right. So the whole thing is that the mandates didn't go through. No. New York got some strict mandates where if you work, you're going to have to get vaccinated. I don't know if that'll hold up in court, how that's going to work, but it's going to be hard to argue that local, like New York already got strict vaccine policies. So They just made a whole group of Jewish people get measles shots because they didn't have the measles shots, and then like they had an outbreak of measles, and then they were like, dude, this is not going to happen. They went to court to fight it and lost. So, like we live in a world where people used to not think about vaccines. I mean, then we had one weird British doctor who started convincing people that vaccines caused autism, and then couple that with social media, and you got what we got. You got what we got today, where people could watch 800,000 of their countrymen die and be like, you know what? I just don't trust it. But anyway, so I just want to be done with talking to people about vaccinations. If something new, tell people to get the booster. If they get it, they get it. If they don't, they don't. It's time to move on.
So get this. The Senate finally got a simple majority vote of 51 votes. They finally won something with 51 votes. And that was to block Joe Biden's mandate. And of course, it was Joe Manchin and John Tester of Montana. 51 was on. They won 52 to 48. They were like, yeah, no, y'all ain't doing this. My problem was scary about Biden's mandates.
They voted against.
They voted against it. What's scary is 48 Democrats voted for it simply because they were Democrats. They didn't vote for it because it was the right thing to do. They didn't vote for.
You're not in their head.
Come on, seriously. No one thought that was a really good idea. Like they were like, I'm going to toe the line. It's just it's.
So I thought it was a good idea. You were like forcing people to get vaccinated. I had no
governments,
problem.
yes, but not at Jesse's 5 and dime. Jesse has the right to tell his employees if they should have to have the vaccination at Jesse's 5 and dime. The federal government does not run Jesse's 5 and dime. The federal government should not be able to tell Jesse's employees what's required for them to work at Jesse's 5 and dime.
The federal government has so many policies and procedures and implementations on small businesses.
But they should not. That's not the government's role.
And the government don't run businesses is ridiculous.
It's not their job. That's the problem. No, they don't. That's not their job, Jesse. What
do you think OSHA
does? Once again, all right, OSHA, Jesse, runs for OSHA only comes into effect when you have businesses that have health or chemicals that they use. OSHA does not come into play. But they tell
businesses what they can and can't do, right?
Yeah, only if those businesses work with the things that are covered under OSHA. Yes,
right.
Yes, it's regulations. You sorry, Jesse, you can't run a garbage company without falling under OSHA. That's kind of how it works. But
OSHA does not come into play. The government put regulations on companies all the time.
Yes,
so but saying that the government don't run mom and pop shop is not
but putting a regulation on is different than running, Jesse. What the government regulation.
So they can't it's the same thing.
No, it's not, Jesse. No, okay, Jesse. In Canada runs businesses. There's Canadian Tire, right? It's like Walmart. All right. It's a business. The government runs it. That's running
The
it. With
government, by
America,
enforcing mandates, is not trying to run the business. They're trying to regulate businesses.
safety. It's supposed to be about safety, but they
It
overstep.
is safety. You don't think it's unsafe for people that's unvaccinated to go to work? Uh, like we have the data to show how unsafe it is for people unvaccinated to be around other people. Do we not have the data already that shows that?
I have no OSHA compliance at all, and I'm an employer. Um, um, no, I think with what the government does with regulations is um, it's they've gone too far with too many regulations. That's kind of a fact. That's one of the things that libertarians are against. Um,
But
they
that's
don't need
always
to, you, yeah, but they keep adding, but they don't need to be in everything. Like, to be fair, and once again, no, the United States government should not be able to tell anybody at Jesse's Five and Dime what they should wear to work, unless however it's hazardous materials or things like that. Then there's all this compliance that you have to go under because that makes sense. But if it's Jesse's Five and Dime, you should be able to make these rules yourself. We do not need the government coming in to say, "Hey, Jesse, what you need to do is make sure that your employees are blind." No, no.
So do you think? So do you think? Do you think employers should be able to fire people because of their religion?
Religious is a protected class, so no.
Okay.
My
All right.
religion has nothing to do with.
At least you're protected the classes. Okay. I was just about to get there, but
No, my religion has nothing
you
to
knew
do with.
what you knew
My
what I was going
religion
to get
is
at.
no. My religion is none of your business. However, if I
Unless you work at a Catholic, school.
if I throw no, if now here's my thing. If I'm a atheist or whatever, and I knowingly go work at like a seminary or something like that, and then I want to complain that they're throwing religion in my face, I have nothing to stand on. I knew what I was walking into, right? However, if I'm a Christian and I'm working at, I don't know, Jesse's Five and Dime, I at the same time should not be able to proselytize and beat you over the head with my beliefs all day long at work. You should then be able to fire my Christian ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I fully believe. And you know what? God got you. Maybe the Lord catch you as I kick you out of here, right? Like, straight up. I'm in with that. I think it's how your behavior could get you fired, but you can't be fired for believing in God, but you can fire for being an asshole believing in God.
Okay. All right. I'll let you slide with that one because
I'll let you slide.
You
Wow.
did set aside protected classes. I thought you were gonna say you were gonna go
No.
all libertarian nut and be like, no, they shouldn't even protect classes. But all right,
No, you should absolutely no. You can't fire somebody for their religious beliefs. You can't fire somebody because they're gay. You can't fire somebody because of the color of their skin. You can't fire somebody because they want to wear a
I
dress or
agree
they
with
want
that.
to wear pants.
I agree with that. I didn't know if you agree with that.
All right, no, but you can fire somebody because they're idiots. You can fire somebody for being stupid. You can fire somebody for not listening. You can fire somebody because it's Tuesday, but you cannot fire somebody because they're black.
So I agree. But so this is why I had the kitty cup going, because the kitty cup is twice the size of the regular cup. And with the kitty cup, but it was being in orange or being in pink. But now I used the big boy glass and I ran out of juice.
The kitty cup.
Also, right before I went in, Jody helped me out because I had dinner. I had chicken and gravy, and dinner was all on my shirt. And she was like, "Are they going to be able to see your shirt?" I was like, "Well, the top part, I see that I got a little gravy on the bottom." She's like, "Nah, it's all up." So shout out to Jody, because what a team! Because I totally missed that, and she was looking out. So I went and looked in the mirror. I was like, "Oh wow," and then I was like, "I'm gonna use my phone for the camera, so I know that's like HD." But why is this popping up? Anyway, but yeah, so man, so before we run out of time, man, I didn't really get too much interest out of the Potter case. I didn't get too much interest out of the Maxwell case. I mean, except that what we already knew about,
exactly,
Epstein, and that he was just a creep, and
right,
she's going to jail for life. I mean, like, they are running people after people in there to be like, hey,
It's getting bad, dude.
But the Smollett case, Jussie Smollett.
Oh my
Why? Like,
God.
you talk about the trial of the century. Is this not the dumbest trial of the century?
In his
Like
okay, that's a valid. Is this the dumbest trial of this century?
this should not be going to like the fact that this is in the courtroom is nuts. It's absolutely nuts.
Do you think for the rest of 2100 we are in, so it's 20, so until, wow. So do you think there'll be another court case in the next 100 years that's going to be this dumb?
Yes, because this is the age we live in. This is the age we live in. But it's like, dude, why are you not pleading guilty? They got you on like 18 cameras. They seen you the day before on camera, casing out all the
They recorded the run through. The run through is on camera.
The run through is on camera. I mean, and like,
man, this is the excellent Shaggy defense. This is the wasn't me.
Maybe this is his last. Yeah,
this is the wasn't me. Wasn't me.
Maybe this is his last hurrah. Maybe it's his last hurrah as an actor, where he's like, I'm not getting any more acting jobs, and this is my last time to be an actor.
Right?
Because
wow.
I'm like flabbergasted that they just didn't plead and move on. Like, dude, you should be 2 years removed from this, or whenever it happened. But like, you should be removed from this by now. Bringing it back to the spotlight, like it had, like, you know what? When they decided to recharge him, he should have just accepted whatever deal. Like, nobody would have remembered. It'd have been done. The last thing they would remember is you getting up on stage after they gave you the light sentence and started talking about, I'm my mama's child, and then I never lie, whatever you were saying. But this has to be the most ridiculous. Like
you can't.
Everybody knows you're guilty. Like
everybody knows you did it.
Like outside of him, does anybody believe? Like, I'm sure his family even believe he's guilty.
Yeah, they do.
They got so much camera, like so many cameras, so many, like, in every question they ask is like a crazy excuse. Like, you just have the perfect excuse. Like, how did they know you were going out in a polar vortex at 3 a.m? He's like, well, they texted me and told me to go buy some eggs for my weight regime. For my training regime, they told me at 3 a.m. to go buy some eggs in a polar vortex. Like, what? Like, oh my God. I have never heard a more ridiculous case. Like, he should have, I just can't believe his lawyers are like, dude, this is not smart. But I guess part of the reason he can fight it because he only facing like 6 felony disorderly conducts. But I mean, it is like a slap on the wrist. But the judge, if he's found guilty, the judge, what are you gonna? I mean, he'll probably get probation. But there's a flip side to me also on this. You know, it's hard for me to be mad because all of a sudden a black person had privilege in the courtroom.
Right.
If you got privilege in the courtroom,
use it.
Use it. His problem was he went and talked afterwards. He should have just shut up, went home, and he had to give a press conference.
He's an idiot. That's the problem, dude.
But, you know,
that's
it's hard for me because he actually had privilege, and I can't be mad because a black person had privilege and used it in the courtroom, but it's the dumbest case I ever heard in my life. Like, literally, I don't understand why he was in court. Like, I don't understand how you allow this to get to court if you're Jussie Smollett. Like,
right?
There can't be a dumber, like nothing good can come out of this. I mean, unless he's found not guilty. And if he's found not guilty,
oh my God, Chicago's gonna burn. Rightfully so.
I don't think.
No, if I was a Trumper, I don't think most people would care.
Honestly, I don't think most people would care about this. Most people are not caring about this.
No one gives.
Most people are not caring about this case. I just think, me personally, I just think it's hilarious because it's so crazy. Like,
it's so stupid.
It's so stupid. It's so crazy. I can't even believe it's in somebody's courtroom. But before we run out of time, one thing we talked about last week was holding kids accountable. Should they be held accountable as adults, as kids, and blah, blah, blah. And we went through that.
Yes.
Man, what about the smash and grab, man? So are you cool with like just locking kids up and letting them out the next day, releasing them to their parents? Like, there's this one kid though, he's 17. They gave him like a $5 million bond. Like, what in the hell he robbed? Like, dude, when you mess with rich people money or
You
like
gonna
rich people stores,
you gonna
$5
learn.
million bond they gave him.
You gonna learn today. You gonna
So
learn today.
so now I see that it hit Minnesota too.
Yeah.
It's a matter of time before it's everywhere. How would you suggest handling it? Like, you don't want to handle these as adults. How do you handle them as kids? You just release them back out so they can go do it again the next day? Because we can't really process, like, nothing's really going to happen to them because they're kids and they're going to be like, oh, they're not like the same kids are able to do it over and over. How do we, is there any way to combat this except lock everything up in a back room under armed guard?
Well, here's the thing. So the reason that they're doing the smash and grabs is because they know that there's no penalty, right? They're going to go to jail and they are going to get released the next day because
They're minors.
and they're not really charging criminals anymore with crimes.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna let you slide with that one. I'm gonna let you slide.
And
Keep going with your point.
And so I think with the smash and grabs, I think this is just one of those things like, what the fuck did you think was going to happen type of thing. I also think it's more about, it happened in California, so somebody thought, oh, that's a good idea. Let's organize it here in Minnesota. And they hit the Burnsville Best Buy. Dude, they were in and out in like 2 minutes. Like, and they were instructed, the people, I guess, at the Best Buy were instructed, hey, just, they don't stop them, don't get in the way, just let them do whatever it is they do. Like, Jesse, they parked in front of the store. Jesse, they didn't park in the parking lot, like, like and find their spaces, Jesse. No. They drove their vehicles, pulled right on up, stopped their vehicles, got out their vehicles, went into the store, grabbed whatever it was they grabbed, went back out to their vehicles, which were still in front of the damn store.
So they probably had getaway drivers.
And they left. Well, yeah, I'm thinking so, right?
That's smart.
But, I mean, what's Minnesota going to do? They're going to catch them and they're going to let them go the next day. All right, because we have catch and release.
Same thing in Madison with kids. Like, they steal cars all the time. Like, kids are locked up. Like, oh, this is 6 cars stolen.
And this is where I get the whole, I understand that police were overcharging black people. Huge, right? Mm-hmm. But the way you fix that problem is to just charge black people like you charge white people, not charge anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you went so extremely the other way.
They went so far I think this is part of the problem with what when I say that America has really, like, racism is just ingrained in America. The way that America fixes problems to make it so no one does anything, or it applies to everybody. So, like what they had with, like, black people were being sentenced entirely too much, and white people weren't being sentenced at all, really. So instead of like just sentencing white folks accordingly, because crimes are crimes, which if they would have just sentenced white folks like they sentenced black folks, nobody would have complained, right? They'd be like, well, I guess here's what it is. It's fair now. But no, they went to make it so no one's getting charged. There's no penalties for messing up. And so now I think the pendulum's going to have to switch the other way, right? So this is going to ride with a little bit, but I think they're going to go back. The new laws, I think, are going to be much stricter, I think.
But maybe if we didn't have so many millions of people unnecessarily in jail, it wouldn't, we would have time to focus on, violent criminals or criminals that take, that affect other people. Primarily, like taking people.
No, that would be a show. We could discuss we could discuss like what's actually a jailable offense and what really isn't, right? Because I think it comes down to is it something that's yours, or is it really a jailable offense? You know what I mean? Like it's a what is the crime versus anything else? Like if you
victimless crimes.
Like victimless crimes. We
have too many people in jail for victimless crimes.
Right, but then you have to describe a victimless crime. And how is it a crime if there's not a victim?
Well, I think selling drugs to somebody is a victimless crime.
No, it's not. Yeah. No, there's a victim in it, right? No, it's not. Selling drugs is a business still. You're right. There's not a victim. Nobody
I mean,
forces anybody to buy drugs.
selling me Swiss rolls is
And victimless crime too.
is impacting my diabetes. So
Right?
selling
Yeah.
somebody drugs,
Selling drugs is no different. Literally selling drugs is probably not as bad as selling McDonald's, if you want to be honest.
you know. But
I mean, if
serious,
you're being honest, right? Like,
selling somebody selling me cupcakes is probably far worse
than selling a bag of weed, right?
Weed, yeah.
Like, if being really honest, you're probably right there. But maybe we should maybe Wednesday we'll talk about crimes and what should be a jailable offense versus what shouldn't be. Because I think too many people are in jail for bullcrap, right?
Maybe we get one of our lawyer friends to come on, or our police officer friends to come on and give us a hand with it. So
I have a lawyer friend I can ask to come on.
All right, yeah, I'm sure we know police officers, lawyers.
We know some lawyers and some police officers.
Get their perspective on victimless crimes, and because the reason I think we would never get rid of victimless crimes is because too many people in America will lose jobs and too much money, and it'll smash the economy. Because, like, can you imagine how much police? Like, we have the DEA, we have the ATF, we have the regular police, we have the FBI. Like, if you just eliminated drugs as a crime, the whole system, 90% of the people wouldn't have anything to do.
No, if you eliminated drugs as a crime, the DEA can focus on actual real shit.
And most of the other agencies could too. Instead of police.
If you eliminated weed, if you eliminated weed and anything natural that's a drug, like peyote, that stuff. I think meth will never be one of the allowable drugs, right? Like, if you have to mix a bunch of shit in your kitchen to go sell it, I don't think you can justify that as being something that's recreational. Be really honest.
It is recreational, though. It is recreational. The reason people have to do that is because, let's remember, alcohol before, people used to make all types of shit in a bathtub before, when we had prohibition. Now you can go buy it in Walmart and know exactly what you're getting in it. This is 10% alcohol versus 30% alcohol. This is versus before when they were doing prohibition, you had no clue what you were getting.
Yeah, but before prohibition, they knew what they were getting. It was just during prohibition that was bad. That's what I mean. That was only during prohibition. But before that, they knew what you were getting.
Also, what also it did? Raised the crime rate because it gave
it created gangs.
Imagine a crime rate if you took away drugs as illegal. Because let's face it, drugs in the world are mostly coming to the U.S. You know why? You know why you can't keep drugs out of the U.S.? Because people want to do them. So because people want to do them,
because we're the country that says you can't do that here.
Yeah, so people want to do them.
But people want to do it because we say you can't. I
found it funny. You can't, or people just enjoy doing it. Whatever the reason is,
I found it funny.
Dumb. The war on drugs has been dumb, always been dumb, and the way you get over it is let Walmart sell heroin and regulate it.
Why not?
Regulate it.
I don't know if it should sell heroin.
Huh?
I don't know if it should sell heroin.
Why not?
Because I don't think anybody should be.
People are dying every day off heroin.
The
solution is not to keep it outlawed. We have overdoses every day.
All right, fair enough.
The solution is to put it in stores where people know exactly what they're getting. And most people will go. I can't go out and just be taking bottles of alcohol like, hey, dude, I made this alcohol at the crib. It's more potent. They're not going to buy it. They're like, dude, I'd rather go and buy it out of the 7-Eleven than buy it from you that you made it. Except that's apple pie and moonshine. But I mean, being serious, serious is hard. You don't have people on the corner selling alcohol.
No.
I mean, in my hood you do, but not like that.
Right. I know what you're saying.
But they're selling regular bottles. They're selling bottles.
We're not talking about the after hours, Jesse.
Yeah. But they're selling alcohol that you already know. They're selling bottles. So they're not making their own. And that's the thing with drugs. Is like, dude, if you regulate it, like you regulate everything else and be like,
there's no surprises.
You cannot put more than 8% heroin in whatever the numbers are.
You can't put more than 8% heroin in heroin. You mean you can't put less than 100% heroin in heroin?
No, I'm saying
that shit correctly.
No, I'm saying I'm sure they mix it with something, right?
They have to, right, to make it last forever.
Right. So what I'm saying is, however you do heroin, what I'm saying is you know, going into the store, like I'm buying 10% heroin off the store, 90% baking powder, whatever they use,
Whatever it is, right?
Yeah, like or whatever they cut.
So does
it with,
that go
like
for crack also and all the other good stuff?
everything. People are gonna do what they want to do. There has never been a drought on drugs. Like you can get like some people might not. One person may be out.
So you
but
don't
if
think
you
that
want
some drugs are
something,
just too far?
huh?
You don't think
Yes,
some drugs
it
go too
is
far?
because I believe they are because they're not regulated by people who know how to regulate it. Like
And who would that
because
be exactly?
the FDA. I don't know. I mean,
Really, how'd that work out with the opioid crisis? They regulated the fuck out of that.
huh? What do you
How'd
mean?
that work out with the opioid crisis?
Again, that's
The
people trying
FDA
to get, that's people
regulated the
trying to get
hell out
people
of that.
addicted. Okay, but would you eat meat that wasn't FDA approved? Like if we all of
My
a
meat
sudden,
doesn't go through FDA.
okay, if we all of a sudden didn't have an approval process for
We used to
food,
not.
but we do now. I'm saying there's
Right.
gonna be people can't roll up to me in a car and be like, "Dude, I slaughtered a lamb. You like lamb chops?" We'll be like,
But why not?
because I don't know how they processed it or what they did with it, or like I don't know.
Do you know how to process a lamb?
No. That's why
So
I trust the
if I
FDA.
processed the lamb and I told you step by step what I did, would you know if I was telling the truth?
That's why I trust the FDA.
You know,
And a
the
lot more
FDA
people.
allows dog shit. You know, they allow mouse shit in their
That's
food,
fine.
right?
That's fine. But what I'm saying is,
Like,
they have
seriously, this so you trust.
the system is not perfect. I understand that. But if the FDA, who else is going to investigate all these little things? We don't have anybody to do that. So all I'm saying is that a lot of the food that I eat, if the FDA called me and be like, "Hey, this has salmonella in it," great. They found it. They researched it. They looked for it. There's a process. If all of a sudden people are buying everything out of people's cars because they're cheaper and the FDA don't regulate it, there's going to be a more people are going to die. So what I'm
Jesse,
saying is,
that's how they used to buy meat. People used to
I
buy meat out
understand
of
that, but
trucks.
now we live in a different age.
We live in
So
and people are less healthy in a different age. Meat is
that's
more
fine.
expensive in a different age, and it's not as good as it used to be in a different
But
age.
are people living longer or less?
I don't know, actually. I think people are
People are
dying.
living longer.
People are no, they're not. There's more of us living longer, but that's
Yeah,
not
that means people are living longer then.
But it's not because of the FDA and its fucking food.
Right. But you're saying that it was better back then.
Jesse, we used to drink real milk, right? We used to be able to get real meat. Like, okay, you get your meat from, like, I don't know, whatever your grocery store is in Madison, whatever it's called, Piggly Wiggly, whatever the fuck you have, right? I get my meat from Bob the farmer. You know what? I got to see Bessie, and she was awesome, right?
I
And
don't
she
know what
tastes
VOT
amazing.
is. I'm not sure what VOT is.
VOT, FYI.
I'm not sure what that means.
No idea. But with my food, I know where my cow came from. I know where my pig came from, right? I got to go meet Bessie, and I got to go see Porky and hang out with him. I got to watch him oink, 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 and eat his shit, right? I got to watch him. And he gets sliced up and he's put on my plate. I'm a happy camper, right? I don't need the FDA involved with that. I really don't.
Most people use FDA approved food. Most people do. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying we have a regulatory body that the government uses that a lot of people pay attention to.
That allows mouse shit inside your food. It's all right it's okay if you got mouse shit in your food.
People are living longer today.
With mouse shit in their food. I'm just saying,
what
Jesse.
I'm saying is all we need is a government body to do the same thing for drugs. That's all I'm saying.
No, yeah, I agree with you there.
People can still buy side shit from people on the corner or people houses, but I mean, it would be great. I think it'd go a long way to help the pandemic or the epidemic or whatever we're in with drug overdoses. If people literally had a place where they knew what they were getting.
But these drugs now it's from. I mean, if we're going to be really honest, most of these overdoses is a white people problem, and it's taking grandma's pills. It's stupid kids taking pills that they shouldn't be taking because they just found them in somebody's cabinet.
No, I don't agree with that. I think most people overdosing is overdosing off fentanyl, and it's not even close. And fentanyl is being mixed with a lot of street drugs that people don't know what's in it. And I guarantee you, if it went through, if they were sold in certain stores and places and things like that, a lot of people would know what they were putting into their body. As of today, you don't know what you're putting into your body when you do drugs. And I think that's a shame. And that's why we have such, high overdose rates and stuff like that, because I think people would make better decisions. And also, Walmart can sell it a lot cheaper. And you may have and I am pretty sure you would cut down on a crime.
Dude,
But
there was
you'll put
holy shit. All right, so there was 42,000 fentanyl overdoses in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
42,000.
Yes. But people don't know that fentanyl is in a lot of stuff that they taking.
But how the hell are they getting it? It's not like
it's easy. Like I said, dude, everybody's selling it. So if it's so easy for people to walk out, you can walk down the street, you can go to any bar or club.
Exactly, but where are they getting it from? It's not like it's not like weed. You can just grow it. This is literally manufactured.
You don't know how people get drugs?
There's nothing not manufactured about fentanyl. What I'm saying is it's not made.
Most of it coming from Mexico. Most of it coming from Mexico or Colombia or a lot of those countries. But to be fair to those countries, it's coming here because Americans want it here. Americans want drugs. So that's pretty much the bottom line. But hey, we need to wrap this up for this week. We're gonna wrap this up for this week. But
yep.
Hey, we come back next week, bringing it to you straight conversation like always.
Yes.
Check us out: YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitch. The Straight Conversation. Always can call in at 608-957-8724. And again, you're kicking it with Dre and Jesse on Wait, what? I was going to say what? Wait, what? Wait,
what?
And,
one pinky, one finger, one thumb, one love.
All right, and on that note, we out.
Yeah.
Right. Peace.